Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. Well, it appears that extraterrestrials are still interested in Stephenville, Texas. As we all know, in 2008, there were a lot of people, a lot of residents from the Stephenville, Dublin area of Texas who reported seeing UFOs, large UFOs, smaller UFOs, but there were a lot of UFO sightings back in that time, actually late 2007 into 2008. But reports are still occurring there. There are still UFO sightings there on a regular basis. And case in point, I was talking just recently, just yesterday and today. Actually, I had an interview on the phone with a Stephenville resident named Reginald Clark. He's a resident there for several years now. He's a retired chemical operator. And Reginald, on April 1st of this year, had taken his 6-year-old daughter to a rest area in Stephenville just to watch the sunrise. And he was sitting there and he filmed a little bit with his cell phone, and he actually captured, he didn't notice it at the time, but later on when he looked at the video, there was something hovering in the sky right in front of him almost. Off to his right, there was it looked like a flying saucer shaped kind of object, just like as has been reported by many, many people over the decades. Anyway, here's a little snippet of the video. Now, as we're talking here, I'm just going to play that video in the background and also some still shots of this object. Now, it appears that, he didn't notice it when he was filming inside of his car. And he was pointing the camera out of the front window, and you could see off to the right that there's some sort of object just stationary in the sky there. It looks like a saucer-shaped object. And then he panned over to his daughter, who was sitting in the passenger seat. And as he's panning over, it seems like actually looks like the object actually starts to move in the last few seconds there. It looks like it might be starting to head up. He didn't catch the whole, he didn't notice it was there at the time, or he might have kept on filming. But I talked to him today about this, and he said after he filmed this and he looked at it later on, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. He couldn't believe that he actually captured something with his cell phone on that day. And he said he's been watching my show for a while now, and he really likes it, and he wanted to share this information, share this video with the world, and he thought my podcast would be a good place to share it. But anyway, for people who are listening to the show and not watching the video version, basically what you see in here is your classic flying saucer just doing its thing, hovering in the sky, just hanging out there. And he didn't see it at the time, just like our story yesterday, where I had a gentleman, an attorney, John Billingsley from California, who inadvertently snapped a picture of a flying saucer through the sunroof of his vehicle back in 2015. This incident here, it was inadvertent too, but it happened earlier this year on April 1st, he says, Reginald. And I talked to Reginald, and he said he actually, when he was a kid living in Tucson, he was about 10 years old, and he was with his 17-year-old brother at the time, and they both saw a craft, a triangular-shaped craft that was bright neon green near this Air Force base that they lived near, and it was he's believed in this kind of thing now for a while. So he's experienced this stuff before. Now this again, the first time it was he was only 10 years old, so years have gone by now, and now he has something else to show us, and it's very interesting. I think it's very interesting. It was at the Air Force Base, by the way, was Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Tucson, Arizona. Now, and that would have been in the 1970s. And now he saw this thing, and he thinks that there's something to this. And he's not afraid to put his name out there. Just like yesterday, John Billingsley's not afraid to put his name out there. I think that's what a lot of people need to start doing, because our government keeps playing games with us. They don't want to tell the truth. They won't even tell our elected representatives the truth. They can't share this information. They don't want to talk about what they know with regard to this extraterrestrial presence. They don't want the cat out of the bag. They want to keep it a secret for their own end. ends, for whatever the ends those are. We don't know, but our tax money's paying for these people to do their jobs, but they're not doing their jobs when they're keeping this incredible reality from the masses. It's time to spill the beans, and I'm going to get into that later on, because something else happened today that I'm very upset about with regards to Congress and UFOs. But anyway, I'm looking at this picture again, sent in from Reginald from Stephenville, and again, here another case, another instance, another little nugget of evidence that we could throw onto the pile. That pile's gigantic now; it stinks to high heaven, and yet our government officials, the government, continues to keep this secret. I mean, who the hell do these people think they are? I don't know, but I'm getting real tired of it. Real tired of it. And again, there was other things that happened today that even make me it makes me even angrier about this. The more I think about it. But yeah, so yeah, Stephenville, Texas. There's still stuff there. There's still, guess what? There's still stuff all over the planet. There are things flying around all over the place. There's extraterrestrials among us right now, and the government knows about this. There's a faction in the government that knows about this, but our elected officials for some reason aren't allowed to know about this. The people aren't allowed to know about this. Only this elite group. This special group, they're the ones who are allowed to have access to all this great information. They get to study this and look at it and think about it. But guess what? The rest of us have to just keep guessing and speculating. We want to know what they know, and we're really tired of it. We're really, really sick of it. And you know what? I'm going to continue with this podcast for as long as possible, right? And I hope more people send stuff in like this. We need to create like it's already out there. I don't even need the bottom line is this: there's already enough stuff out there. We already have the evidence. Like I talk about before, channels like UFOB and Eyes on Cinema. You go look at those YouTube channels, right? And you'll see the evidence there. You'll see all the testimony from all the different people out there. People are sick of this right now. Real sick of this. There's a lot of people out there who experience these things, right? And they're tired of this, the government lying to them about it. And that brings me to the next thing I want to talk about, which is very upsetting. Now, today, there was a group of representatives in Congress who met in a SCIF. SCIF, by the way, is a sensitive compartmented information facility. So it's a place where nobody else is supposed to be, unless you have the right clearances, you get to go to these SCIFs to get information. And they met with the Department of Defense Office of Inspector General, and guess what? They thought they were going to get some information about what's been going on about UFOs, about UAP, and guess what? They learned nothing. Actually, when it was over, Representative Tim Burchett walked out and said they didn't learn anything. He got nothing. They got nothing. He said absolutely. He was asked, "What did you learn in there?" And he says absolutely nothing. Tim Burchett, who's been one of the people in the forefront of this effort in Congress to try to finally pry the truth out of these creeps that are sitting on it, right? He found out absolutely nothing. And some of the other representatives here too. Here was Jared Moskowitz and Anna Paulina Luna. They were asked what happened after this secret briefing this morning with the Department of Defense, and here's what they had to say.
Other than what we were told
yeah, we were actually told that we don't have clearance to learn some certain things.
Really?
So, yeah.
Really?
Again.
Is that in itself telling?
It could be. I don't want to read into it, but obviously, I think a lot of members were very frustrated.
You guys both look frustrated. You guys both seem frustrated.
The fact is that Congress should have oversight and the ability to look into and have access to these programs. And the fact is that we're being told that we don't have access to these programs, which defeats the purpose of what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. But your colleagues do have access if they're on armed services or anything.
No.
Oh, really?
No members.
Well, they didn't tell us. They didn't tell us who. They wouldn't answer that.
And
So they got nothing. They're upset. We're not getting any information whatsoever. There was one comment that came from Representative Eric Burleson. That was the best we got from today. It says, here's what he said after this hearing, after this meeting in the SCIF. He says, what it appears to be is somebody has discovered something, some advanced form of propulsion or technology that may actually change all of our lives. That was his comment after the SCIF. I think we already know that, though, right? I mean, so I think we have to go by what everybody else is saying here, that they learned nothing. There was nothing new shared with these people. Apparently, they don't have the proper clearances for whatever reason. Guess what? I think, let me just say this. I believe that the entire American public has the proper clearances. We should, everybody in the world should have the proper clearances when it comes to this subject, when it comes to the reality that there's an extraterrestrial presence here. The whole world should know about this. Anyway, here was a full statement from the Department of Defense Inspector General about this SCIF briefing. And this was posted by somebody on Twitter, Joe Callil. It says here, the Department of Defense Office of Inspector General is not responsible for determining the classification of the information in our oversight work, nor do we determine the level of security clearances for congressional leaders. The Department of Defense Office of Inspector General is committed to being as transparent and communicative as possible with our congressional leaders and welcome any further opportunity to discuss our body of work. So I guess a lot of these people in Congress thought they were going to get something today, and guess what? They got nothing, because the control group has it all clamped down. They don't want the public to know what they know. They're special. Again, I'm getting angrier the more I think about this. Who the hell are these people? Who gave them this authority? Who the hell are these people? People need to get mad about this. I'm angry about this. The more I think about it, I'm furious. The greatest story of all time continues to be covered up, and who the hell are these people keeping this secret? That's what I want to know. Who the hell do they think they are? Pardon me for that, please. But I am angry when I think about it. I think about I know what I experienced. I know that there's something here, and yet we have to listen to this. We have to play this stupid game. Even our own elected officials, they can't. You don't got the right classifications, so we can't really talk about it. Like, who the hell do these people think they are? They weren't elected. You have to wonder, I mean, are these people being controlled by the aliens? I mean, are they? I mean, the aliens don't want anyone to know what's going on, and who the hell are? I just like to know, who the hell are these people keeping this secret? Where does their authority come from? Who the hell do they think they are? I mean, what the hell is going on here? Jesus Christ! Think about what's going on here. They need to come out with the truth already. This is absurd. Anyway. Okay, I'm going to move on to another subject because what could you really say here? I mean, what could anybody really say or do? I mean, I don't know. What do you do? Who do you talk? Who are these people? I mean, the reporters should be standing in the Capitol. If I was a reporter right now, and you have these people going in and representatives, people who are elected officials, and they're not being told what this is, even in a SCIF, in this compartmented security facility, they're not even being told there what's going on, right? Who made this decision? Where did this come from? Who is responsible? I can't understand what's going on here. Who do these people think they are? I'll tell you what, people in this country need to get really angry about this. I mean, people in the UFO community, you're not angry enough. Questions need to be posed to these Congress people in Congress and say, what are you doing? Why are you allowing it? What's going on? You know where this authority is coming from. These are the kind of questions that need to be asked. Who's given these people the authority to cover this up like this for this long? Who are these people? Who are these gatekeepers? Who granted this authority? That's the kind of questions that need to be asked and answered in public. We need to know the answers to this. We need to find out what's going on here. I don't know who the hell these people think they are. Really, think about it. Doesn't that get you mad? This is supposed to be a democracy that we live in. We elect people to certain positions, but the elected people that we put into these positions, they have no say. They have no power. What the hell's going on here? Look at it. Look at this. I'm going to tell you something, right? I just showed you that picture from before, right? That could very well be something from operated by extraterrestrial beings. I don't know for a fact. I don't know 100%, but it could be, right? I don't know. But I could tell you this: there's thousands, tens of thousands of other reports, tens of thousands of people who talked about, millions of people actually, who have encountered alien creatures, beings themselves, people who saw these craft up close, closer than in that video that I showed earlier. There's something here. There's something among us, and yet the people that we put in power don't have any power. I'm trying to figure out who has the power here and why. Where did this authority come from? I know that there's something here. I've seen one of these creatures. I'm tired of the lies. I've been sitting around for like, how many years now? Since the 70s? Well, let's say, since the late 80s, because I didn't realize it was that thing that I saw in the 1970s. I didn't understand what was going on until about 10 years later, as I always talk about. So I've been waiting since the late 1980s to find out more information about this, and look at all the time that's gone by. It's unbelievable. 30, 40 years, 50 years. Basically, they've been sitting on the secret for over 75 years. They've been keeping this a secret. This is absolutely ridiculous what happened today, that Congress goes in there, elected officials, and they're not told anything in a SCIF. They could have came out, if they were told something, they could have came out, yes, we talked, but we can't talk about it right now. That would have been better than nothing. Oh, we got nothing. We got absolutely nothing. I just don't know who these people think they are. I just know that there's something here, and you know what? It makes you feel unsafe in a way when you really think about this. The fact that the entire scientific community has not been brought in on this after all this time. Basically, it's the greatest story of all time, the most complicated story of all time, the most complicated problem, perhaps, of all time that the human race has ever faced, right? And the scientific community is completely left out in the dark. And they scoff at it because the people the gatekeepers are sitting on this, and they're making it seem like it's all a joke. You know, that's what's going on here. But it's not a joke, because I know I saw one of these things. I saw one of these beings. I saw one of the craft up close. I know that there's something going on here. But yet we have this. I don't like what's going on here. I don't like the fact that that the feet are getting dragged through the mud here. People need to get angry, real angry. This is the Congress. I tell you what, Congress ain't being tough enough. If you're going to a SCIF and you're telling me, right, that they can't tell us anything, what the hell are you? You're not doing your job. You need to do a better job. You need to start demanding. You need to get really angry and say, look, I'm elected. I'm an elected official. The people put me in office. You're going to tell me, and you're going to tell me right now. That's how you need to handle this. Okay, moving on. Now, I don't know if you remember, there was this video. It looked like some sort of object, metallic spherical orb flying over the Middle East. And it was one of the recent videos that was released earlier this year by Arrow, and they said they didn't know what it was. There's this group called Bellingcat. It's I don't know, some group that it was put together. It was some group that investigates stuff. It uses Kickstarter money and stuff like that, and this group has determined that the object in this video that looked like an orb, they're saying it was just a Mylar balloon. So we're going to talk about this a little bit. And maybe it is a Mylar balloon. I don't really care. That doesn't change anything. Let me just before I even get into this story, if this thing is a Mylar balloon, it still doesn't change anything. It doesn't mean that the other things that military officials have filmed, and we haven't seen yet, by the way, it doesn't mean that some things aren't, it doesn't mean that everything's not extraterrestrial now, right? That doesn't mean that at all. Just let me make that clear right off the get-go. I didn't know what this thing was when I saw the image of it. It looked like some metal ball floating through the air. A lot of people saw this video, and I'm sure you remember it. But anyway, we're going to go through this investigation that Bellingcat has put forth. It says here, on July 12, 2022, a U.S. military drone captured video of a metallic spherical orb flying over the Middle East. The U.S. Department of Defense says it was an unidentified anomalous phenomenon, or UAP, the term the U.S. government prefers over unidentified flying object, UFOs. Yeah, the term the U.S. government prefers over UFOs because they actually stigmatized the term UFOs since the 1950s all the way up until the present day, until they changed it to UAP. That was, this came out of the 50s. This came out of the Robertson panel. They've been doing that ever since. You know, that's because of that they had to change the name because of their actions earlier in history. So they had to change the name because they stigmatized the acronym UFO themselves. Right? That's what they did. Anyway, it says here, U.S. Department of Defense official Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, who leads the U.S. government's investigation into UAP at the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, AARO, described the footage at a public hearing held by NASA in June 2023. This is a typical example of the thing we see most of, he told attendees. We see these all over the world, making very interesting apparent maneuvers. At an April 2023 hearing before the Senate Armed Services Committee, Kirkpatrick, who took part in NASA's independent study of UAP, testified that 52% of UAP reports the AARO is assessing are round or spheres. A closer look at the July 2022 footage of the UAP suggests a more banal explanation. It may just be a balloon. So they looked at all this. They looked at this stuff. They did a lot of different investigations, and they determined that this was a balloon. I'm going to skip through here for a little bit and tell you what their assessment was. And it says here later on in this report, it says, maybe it's a boring balloon. It says here, in the Armed Services Committee hearing, Kirkpatrick testified that this is essentially all of the data we have associated with this event, adding it is going to be virtually impossible to fully identify the object just based off of that video. Without more data to aid in a definitive identification, the current main hypotheses appear to be main hypotheses appear to be technology of extraterrestrial origin, technology of an unknown country, or a balloon. Indeed, AARO's website lists commercial or scientific balloons among common objects frequently reported as UAP. A balloon is consistent with what we see in the video. They can be spherical, they can appear metallic, particularly those made of foil, and they can float in the air. According to the BBC Science Focus website, a helium balloon can float up to 10 kilometers, well below the operational ceiling of a Reaper drone. Further supporting the balloon hypothesis is the videos coinciding with Eid al-Adha, one of the two major holidays in Islam. The video is time-stamped July 12, 2022, the last day of the three-day holiday that year. Eid in Syria, as in other parts of the Muslim world, is celebrated with gifts, including balloons. Photos and videos from past celebrations in Damascus and Deir ez-Zor show balloons were present. So while it's exciting to imagine a 30-centimeter wide alien spacecraft flying around the Middle East, Occam's razor suggests that perhaps we're just looking at a party balloon. Okay, that could very well be a party balloon that they showed us. But here's the bottom line, though. Here's the bigger picture, actually. The bigger picture is there's a lot of other stuff, videos that they don't show us. They probably showed us this one, right, because they probably realized it was probably a balloon, and they just threw it out there and said, we don't know what it is. And now you have somebody figuring out, oh, it was just a balloon. They're celebrating some Islam holiday nearby, and that's one of those balloons got loose and floated over that military base in the Middle East. That's all it was. It was only a balloon. Well, let me tell you something. I'm going to just say this right now. There was, I don't know what that thing was in my room in the 1970s, right? But I'm certain it didn't arrive by balloon. I don't know what it was, but it only had 3 digits on its hand, and the thing was not human, okay? All right. I don't know how it got there. I don't know what kind of technology it used to break in the house that night, right? But the thing didn't arrive by balloon, I'm pretty certain. No Mylar balloon was floating above my house that night, I'm certain. Right. And I am also certain that in 1994, when I saw a craft as big as a house floating, when I was on a fishing trip with a buddy, floating and making no sound and moving around in ways that other aircraft that I've seen throughout my life cannot move, right? I am certain that thing wasn't a balloon. It was giant. It was as big as a house, and it had 3 giant lights on it, right? So I don't care about this stuff. I don't care about these dumb videos. Actually, we all know, Lou Elizondo has stated that there's better videos out there, a lot of better videos, that actually you can see things sitting inside these craft. Pilots, they have them. The Pentagon has those things. And if they were to show just one, that would end this. If they were to show one of those really good videos that they have with the beings sitting behind the pilot seat, right, flying one of these saucers around, and you saw that being, right, and it was a gray alien, you would know. Everyone would know. Okay, that's it. There's no more debate anymore. There's something here. There are extraterrestrials here on this planet, up to something. We don't know what. That's a question for another day. We could speculate all we want, but the bottom line is that there's something here, and the government's continues to lie to us about it. Our elected officials are lied to. The people we put into office are getting lied to, or not told. They're basically not even just being told, "Hey, we can't tell you. We don't care. You don't have the clearance. Too bad. See you later." That's what they're doing. Who the hell do these people think they are? Who the hell does this secret control group thinks it is? Who gave them this authority? That's okay. If some president from long ago, from Eisenhower or Truman, a long time ago, started this, right? They're long gone, right? Who the hell? How does this authority still continuing today? Into years later, 70 plus years later, what is going on here? Our elected officials, right? They're playing some games here too. I don't know. They're not being tough enough. Our elected officials are not being tough enough. They're doing something. I'll give them that, right? They're passing these bills, and that's all fine and dandy. But after the stuff that, like what happened today, that's BS. That's BS. You don't go into a SCIF, right, and come out completely empty-handed in a SCIF. That's nonsense. It's time for, I don't know, again, I'm trying to figure this out. I don't know what's going on here. Who are these people? Who do they think they are? I mean, is it's some sort of a apparent group of people from the Pentagon and from some of the weapons manufacturers who have collaborated to form some sort of a group that is insulated from everything else. They're in some sort of a cocoon, and they can't be touched for some reason. I don't understand. How is this possible? This shouldn't be possible. This shouldn't be allowed. Our elected officials, starting from the top, from the president on down, needs to start addressing this, right? We're not all stupid. So many people out there have had these experiences. There's pictures all over the place. Okay, so some of the pictures might be easily identifiable or natural phenomena, but some of them are not for sure. There's some of them are real, right? All these people that are telling their stories are not liars, right? They weren't hallucinating, right? A portion, of course, right? But there's a group. There's a group of some of these people, right, who are telling the truth. They actually experienced these things, and they encountered beings, and they encountered craft, and they're not getting answers from the government that we have in place here. It's time to end this nonsense. The people in Congress need to start putting their foot down, and they need to put it down hard and start demanding and start screaming on the podium in anger. This control group needs to know that we mean business. We mean business. This is all, what happened today is just absolute horse dump. I'm really trying hard here, as you probably could tell, not to say any profanity. I try to keep this show clean. But I'm angry. I'm angry after reading that stuff today that we got nowhere. We were getting nowhere. We got nowhere today. They had a SCIF and they got nothing. Those people who are elected are the ones supposed to be in charge, right? They're the ones we put to be in charge. So they need to start demanding answers and not coming out of a SCIF acting like, oh, they didn't tell us something. They need to come out and say, I demand. You have to start demanding. Anyway, that's all for today. Thank you very much for joining me. Until next time.